Hello everyone, I hope you have had a great day and you're having a nice evening tonight, and love to have you joining me to talk about the gut-brain connection this evening. So in case you haven't seen me before, I'm Arwen from Even Star, and I wanted to talk about this because I've been seeing so many more information, so much more research being done, and it's really, really important for us all to become aware of this, because what is going on in our gut can really have such a big impact on things that we really wouldn't expect it to. So we're all really well aware of how our gut and brain are connected in terms of your brain affecting your gut, that you feel nervous, and here's my cat come to say hello, that you feel nervous and you get butterflies in your stomach, that you might be really anxious about something, it makes you want to throw up or feel nauseous. So this is something that's really commonly recognized, not a big deal. And what is also really well recognized and talked about all the time is the gut feeling, how you can think with your gut instead of thinking with your brain sometimes, and you feel that something's wrong and you know that what you're thinking in your head is not the right thing to do, but because our society is so based around how we think with our heads, then you might make the wrong decision and go back and regret it later. But really, does your gut have feelings? Does it have emotions? Does it think? And in fact, in one way, the answer is yes. So a lot of people probably aren't aware that in fact your gut has its own nervous system. So this is called the enteric nervous system. And in fact, it has more nerve cells than the spinal cord. So it has, just let me check my numbers, so it's more than 100 million nerve cells in the enteric nervous system. So it's thought that this nervous system came about in human development so that the digestive system wouldn't have to rely on the central nervous system. So it was a bit of a bypass, so it could be a lot more efficient for digestion to occur. After all, it is what keeps us alive. So this is the system, this is the nervous system that actually controls digestion. And I just want to say hi to everyone who's come on, and especially to my family in New South Wales. Good to see you there, guys. This is really relevant for all of us. So what I wanted to talk about next is the fact that chronic stress, obviously, is, hi Max, chronic stress is something that I'm always talking about on my Facebook Lives, and it is something that unfortunately is just way, way too prevalent in Western society, and it means that our fight or flight system is constantly activated. And if you've seen any of my videos before, you'll have heard me say this before, because it's a really, really big problem. So we never have our parasympathetic nervous system activated, which means that the parasympathetic nervous system controls our rest and digest, and it means that our digestion isn't working properly. So your digestive system actually has a really big part to play in immune response, because in your digestive system are bacteria, and these bacteria are actually responsible for excreting antibodies, and this is what helps in our immune response. This is what fights illness. So if you have bacteria that are not in the right quantity or not the right type of bacteria, then this is going to have a massive impact on how your body is able to fight disease. So the bacteria in your gut, all those little bugs that you're always hearing about, basically controls your immune response, or has a massive part to play in controlling it. So keep that in mind. So what's going to happen if this bacteria is imbalanced? Well, basically dis-ease, as I like to say, rather than disease, it's a dis-ease, it's imbalance, and all sorts of things can happen. So there's more and more studies being done on this all the time. And the amazing stuff that I really wanted to share to make people really aware, because this affects just about everyone. If you not directly, then it's somebody that you know. They have done studies so far and found that an imbalanced gut microbiome can have interactions with depression, anxiety, autism, multiple sclerosis, if I could say it, obsessive compulsive disorders, chronic fatigue syndrome, and even just plain old stress. So you might be thinking that you're feeling stressed and therefore your gut is feeling upset, but in fact maybe it's the other way around. Your gut is upset, your gut microbiome is out of balance, and you are therefore feeling stressed. How amazing is that? So pretty much now all my clients are going to get me saying to them, go and get your gut microbiome checked out. Here comes my cat again. So there does need to be more research done. You can pretty much find research to validate any answer that you want on this, but goes both ways. So there'll be studies that show that something is related and other studies that show that it isn't. So there's lots and lots of people out there doing a lot more research, which is great. And there's even studies into things like antidepressants being used to actually treat IBS symptoms. So again, that connection going the other way from what we'd expect. So there are some amazing people out there that you can look up online and read about their successes. So there's a lady called Dr. Terry Walls who has devised her own protocol called the Walls Protocol, which lots of people have probably heard of, because she devised this way of eating in order to balance her gut microbiome and actually overcame MS. She went from being in a wheelchair to riding her bike for 20 miles within, I think it was less than 1 year of changing her diet to look after her gut microbiome. There's another wonderful story that I heard from a lady called Kirsty Worth, and again, I'll put a link in my notes, but you'll be able to Google her, and she achieved an incredible turnaround for her son who actually suffered from autism. And, you know, it's not something that you can get rid of, but he had again an amazing turnaround from being a child who was basically curled in a fetal position, crying a lot of the time as a really young child, to being an amazing young man these days who lives a fairly normal life, that goes to a normal school, etc. So food can be our most simple and yet our most powerful medicine, and also the most dangerous poison. So keep that in mind, please. So as I said, I would highly recommend that everybody goes and gets their gut microbiome checked out by a nutritionist or by a naturopath. And this is because everybody is different. It is an individual thing. I'm going to give just a few generic good gut foods. Here's Jagger, everybody, again. But you really need to get your own situation checked out. So some really good ones are, obviously the first one to avoid is processed foods. Really often have always have very little nutritional value, and they're often packed with additives. So this is another big passion of mine. Hope you're still listening, Max. And the problem is that your body just can't process it, basically. Good fats are great for our gut, so olive oil, avocados, things like that. Probiotic-rich foods, so of course we all think of yogurt, which is great as long as it's organic and it's natural, not sweetened yogurt. And other things which are becoming really, really popular at the moment, like sauerkraut, kefir, kimchi, which we just tried the other weekend, which is delicious. So all of those things are great. Many people should avoid gluten. Again, it's an individual thing. And nuts and seeds as well are generally really good for your gut microbiome, but again, a lot of people have intolerances, and a lot of people don't realise that the skins of these kinds of things are actually coated in something called phytic acid, which nature provides to them so that they don't get eaten by animals, and it is actually quite dangerous for our gut if we eat the wrong kinds of ones and eat them in too greater quantities. So please go and get your own personal situation checked out by a naturopath or a nutritionist, and just reap the amazing results that you can get from looking after your gut microbiome a bit better. It's something we all need to be much more aware of, and unfortunately the modern Western diet is not doing us any favours. So thank you so much for joining me this evening. I will put a few things in my comments for you to refer to, and I would love it if you want to contact me if you've got any more questions, and I will help you to the best of my ability. I'm trying to learn as much as I can about this myself. Wish I was a naturopath so I could help you myself, but I'm not. So take care out there, and thanks very much for joining me. Be well. Bye.